Welcome to Sparks to Fire. I'm Jeff Hicks. This is the interview show for people desiring real change in their life. And today, I'm talking with Shanti Toll. Shanti is the organizer of the Celebration Metaphysical Fairs. The next one is October 5th through the 8th down in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Now, why did I choose Shanti? Why are we talking to him today? Because Shanti has been organizing these 100 fairs since 1978. It's the longest running conscious living gathering celebration type fair in the United States. We're going to learn how it got started. We're going to learn the values that he infuses in each and every one. We're going to learn 3 questions. Be listening for him. 3 questions that he uses to make sure that he's on the path and that he is present. Like what you see? Got questions? Put them in the comments down below. I want to know. Give us a Facebook like if this is doing something for you. Got an idea for an interview? Send me an email. I just put up an about section there. I realized I didn't have my own email address on this site for a while until somebody brought it up to me. So, it's there now. Send me an email. Give me an idea of who I should be interviewing. Shanti Toll, the Celebration Fairs here on Sparks to Fire. Shanti Toll, welcome to Sparks to Fire.
Hi, Jeff. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. I've been to, I guess, 3 of the metaphysical fairs that you hold in Colorado, and I've always learned a tremendous amount. And you've got some amazing stories to tell, and I'm excited to hear them. So, first off, tell us about the Celebration Metaphysical Fairs.
Well, they were started in 1978. Actually, it was started as a New Age fair. That was back in the day. It was just coming on. And it started as a co-op, which meant that a number of readers and vendors and didn't know each other, and they got together and they started having potluck dinners and little presentations. And then we decided that we would go public. And we started the fairs, and they've just been growing really ever since 1978. And I think what's important is that it is a environment where people can explore what gives meaning to life, what is real. There's different ways of looking at life and metaphysics. And so we started with the word metaphysics, partly because it's a word that people don't quite understand, and it's something that is still developing in what it means. But it has to do with exploring the premises on which our perception of reality is based. It has a lot to do with meta being larger and physics being physical. So it's larger than physical. That means that it's both the seen and the unseen world, and that's what we're exploring.
Well, for the people who haven't been to one, let's tell them a little bit about how it's set up. You're at the Denver Merchandise Mart, which is a very large exhibition hall here in Denver, and you have some exhibition halls. The next one is in Fort Collins, or I'm sorry, in Colorado Springs. Sorry about that. Tell us how it's set up. What do people see when they walk in the door?
Okay. When they go through the door, well, first of all, there's a wizard that greets them right at the entrance, and there's a stage, and there's oftentimes live music there. And then you go in, and the readers are on the outside along the wall, so that they have a space behind them, and you can get readings there. And then on the inside, it's really open. There are not pipe and drape. It is really a sense of community, of people working together. And so as you go in with the program, you can choose the reader that you want, and it's something where you get to ask the vendor or the readers what you want to ask. There's not proselytizing allowed, whether it be Christian or New Age or anything, because this is a place to ask questions. So people are very willing to share, but it is the questions that you want to ask. And then, and then there's aura camera, and there are different areas. For instance, we have the aura camera, which is mostly aura imaging, and also a guy named Scott Salmon has a camera where you can get readings of your aura. And then there's another part where there are 3 lecture halls or workshop halls where there are actually different kinds of presentations every half hour, or really throughout the day. So the problem is there's more things to do than you can have time to do them all.
I know that to be true because especially the workshops, I had to miss some this past time because there are several of the ones I wanted to go to and overlapped. And they are very powerful. They're an hour of really focused time where people are teaching, and then there is always time for questions, just like you said. And I have always gotten my questions answered very nicely, they've always respected anything that anyone there has always respected the things that I've asked, and that has been very nice to have.
You know, one of the things to be in the fair, the contract that I have, there are certain values that people in the fair have to have. And I think that this helps define what the fair is. For instance, one of them is we all have free will, and because if you got a reading that says this is going to happen, and you say, oh, that sucks, I don't want that to happen. If you don't have free will, then you can't change it. So the purpose of a reading in one way is to get feedback that this is where you're heading. And if you don't want to go there, you can always change. So I think free will is part of that. Another philosophy is that there are many paths to spirituality, and you don't have to agree with them. But you have to, in this context, you have to be willing to be respectful of ways that people find meaning in life and finding a balance between body, mind, and spirit. So that's another one. Another one is that we are all interconnected. That life and planet Earth and that there is an interconnection. So that we need to work for the highest good, because being too focused on just your issue doesn't work, or it doesn't work on a metaphysical level. And then another core philosophy is about holism and holistic. And I define holism slightly differently. I define it as body, mind, spirit, and nature, because I think a few years ago the body, mind, spirit could become too internal. We were all searching inside ourselves. But it is my belief that the other part that brings balance into life and into metaphysics is the connection to the reality of nature. And the word reality is right there we are into the metaphysical terms of what's real. But there is nature. There is stuff that is outside of you and all of us. And by integrating and becoming one with all of that. So here's the thing that's sort of cool about both the readers and the vendors, which is that each of us have to make our decision about how we are going to find meaning and connection to our spirit, to health in our body, to nature, to the thoughts in our mind and our emotions. And by thinking holistically, it helps people stop becoming so focused on just their problems. And they realize that there's multidimensional people, there are multidimensional spirits, might be a better way to say it, and that sometimes we're focused on our health, and sometimes we're focused on our relationship, or sometimes we're focused on career. But what's important is when you see yourself as a part of that whole, and that you're not getting stuck in, oh, I just lost my job, or oh, I have this problem. You see yourself with so much more potential, and I think that's the strength of the fair.
It is. It is a very strong portion of the fair. You've been at this since 1978. What trends or what changes have you seen over the period of time?
I'll go back a little further. I took the name Shanti in '68. So I've been sort of involved in the relationship of what gives meaning to life, and what is the cycle that is bigger than life and death that we are all participating in. When I got into looking at the fairs, it became out of service. In one way, I also have 20-something years in public mental health, and I was a public school teacher for 22 years.
God. And
working in the field of emotionally disturbed and people that are trying to, or kids that are trying to find balance. And so as I did that, I recognized that society does not have enough money or skills to take care of all the problems. So where the fair came in is finding a way for us to support each other. And it's not that we're all just regular people and we have our good days and our bad days and that kind of thing. And we're having trouble. All we need is a little help sometime, or someone to listen, or a new perspective. And that's really, so that's where I came to these fairs from that point of view. And then I just really came to respect and trust the community. And the fair has grown this big. When we first started, we had like 5 readers. We were outside in a park, maybe 8 vendors, and I think it rained on the second year. Hard. But it's every year that it is what the people, the vendors, the readers, and the public bring to it that change it from just a expo or a crafts fair or any of the kinds of fairs that street fairs that people go to, into something that's metaphysical. And that is some magical transformation.
So how have you noticed any trends over this period of time? Anything that has changed?
Okay. A couple. One is when we first started, the idea that the mind impacted physical health. That I had a doctor of MD come and say that I was doing a disservice because there was no connection, and that by them not going to the doctor and trying to heal themselves, that I was hurting their health. Now, every doctor, everybody knows from all traditions, and it's mainstream. It's no longer New Age. In fact, New Age has disappeared until now. It's coming back. But so I think that the real excitement in the first 5 or 6 years in the early 80s and late 70s was this idea of ourselves taking control of our body, mind, and our spirit, and feeling that we could do that. That's what probably the biggest that just became mainstream. And then let's see, the other thing that is interesting is about war, because we've been through a couple wars, and we've been through a couple strong recessions since 1978, and the fair has remained pretty constant. But what I found is when people are being killed, like at a war, that society becomes more conventional. They go back more toward traditional religions. They don't want to piss off God or something. But during times of economic trouble where people are struggling with, they have to change their life, then a more open approach to spirituality happens. So I've seen that cycle now a few times, where that it goes more traditional religion and then more open to spiritual diversity and back and forth. And I find that one of the really fascinating.
Interesting. So, well, we're involved in wars now, and we're having economic concerns. I wonder which, is there a tussle going on? My sense is there is.
Either way, the fair does really well.
Good.
So But I think the other thing is, like within the fair, 50% of the people define themselves as Christian that are at the fair. I mean, so it's not about religion. It's really about how people approach spirituality.
Yes, it is.
And that is something that's important. And then I'll give one more.
Okay.
2012. And the ideas of the various times of prophecy toward the end of the world or toward a shift. I think the millennium, Y2K, was a very good example of that. 11/11, people thought were going to happen. And so I've been through 4 prophecies of the demise of things, and we're still here talking about it. I know that December 21st is coming up, but so I think that during those times there is a struggle within the heart and soul to try to get to a life that's more meaningful and is going to cope with the trials and tribulations that are in our lives.
I agree. Do you have an estimate of how many lives that you've touched? How many people have been to a fair over the past 30 years?
We have, for many, many years, we've had 5,000 to 6,000 in Denver per fair people. And in Colorado Springs, we have 2,000 to 3,000 people. And we do 4 fairs a year, of which, luckily and happily, we have a community of people that have been to many, many fairs, because this is not rote. This is, each time you come, there are things to get out of it. So we have people come back to get readings from the same readers, or they have a vendor that maybe from out of state that they really like their jewelry, and so they'll do some collecting of that kind of product that makes a difference in your life. In a metaphysical fair, everything you get, whether it be a reading or a stone or a piece of jewelry or a house art, it is to remind you that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Yeah. So one of your keynotes this last time was Dane Here of Access Consciousness, and one of the keynotes of the Transcendence Fair coming up October 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th in the Springs is Gary Douglas. What excites you about Access Consciousness?
Access Consciousness is this wondrous organization that is still unfolding, and I'm still not exactly sure what it is. But what really excites me is that they appeal to people around the world, across culture. For instance, when we were going to have we had a podcast back in Labor Day in Denver, worldwide video where people at this, were watching it live. And in setting that up, to talk with people from Access Consciousness, I had to talk to a person from Australia, I had to talk to a person from Colorado, I had to go talk to people from Europe, and it is this incredible worldwide organization that it appeals to. And I think that with where we are on the planet, organizations that cross national barriers and get to think of human beings from the point of view of what we can be and what we need to be really to survive as a species, that I think that within the metaphysical community, Access Consciousness is one of the groups that is really growing on a planetary level.
I agree, and they ask amazing questions. They have gotten question asking down to a very, very fine art, and
it's pretty much when you ask a question, they're going to ask you a question back.
Yes, they are.
That's just the way they are, and I think that, and they say, and it's part of their tools and their philosophy, that keeping the potential open is the essence of change. It is when we define things that we also limit them. And so, me being a practicalist and putting on the fair, that there is a balance, but that I can see there is a truth in what they're saying. And I think each person then has to take the lessons that Access is doing and say, how does that work? I mean, here again, I'm asking a question.
Right.
That the other part of it is action. That sometimes you don't have to have the exact answer, but if you don't act, if you don't participate in life, if you don't go for what is that potential, then that's where people get stuck. And I think that's the area that Access Consciousness is working in, is that relationship between potential and action.
I agree with that too, Shanti. I think that's yeah. And their question, how can this be even better? That allows for action. Well, that action.
Well, and I don't know how, but we are really connected, Celebration and Access, because their top 3 people worldwide are Gary Douglas, who is the founder, and Dane, and then Rika Zimmerman, who's done 2 or 3 of our fairs.
Oh, wow.
And so we are really connected. It's fun. It's a good, playful interaction.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about the 2012 Transcendence Fair that's happening October 5th through 8th in Colorado Springs. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm excited about it. First of all, it's my 100th fair, and it just so happened back in '78. My 100th fair would be a couple months before the 2012 prophecy, which wasn't even invented back then.
Right.
That didn't even come till the harmonic convergence in '87. So here we are. Destiny has put us at this spot, and this is a conscious party as far as I'm concerned. So not only is the fair going to be 4 days, but there's also going to be at Unity Church, there's going to be a service for people that are coming in from out of town that would like to be out of the fair for a while, to go to church. We are going to do a Sacred Circle medicine wheel in Garden of the Goddesses open space park, which is outside at the foot of Pikes Peak. We're going to do hikes in Garden of the Goddesses, which is a trail that I do a lot of volunteer trail building. That's my outside activity, and that is a trail that I helped create. And we're also going to be doing drumming in Garden of the Gods, and we're going to have a rock and roll party or a dance party and a banquet on Saturday night, so that you don't have to go to the fair, and most of these things are free. They're things that the Colorado Springs community is participating in because they've been supportive of me forever. And no, since 1978.
Seems like forever, though, doesn't it?
Seems like forever. And then on Monday, the 8th of October, Mountain Standard Time, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we are stopping everything commercial. We are stopping the fair right in the middle of the fair, and the readers and the vendors and the public and the staff, we are going to do a ceremony to attune humanity to planet Earth and to attune humanity to the higher vibration. I mean, I'm trying to create a ceremony or a ritual that allows people to focus their energy together. And what is, there are various organizations that will do things coming up to the 2012 Transcendence, in December. But they're all going to have a particular focus. This fair is going to be people, 1,000 people in the room, plus people, you around the world, participating in something, and we all have slightly different views of what our connection is to Mother Earth. We all have different views of how to empower, how to attune ourselves to the higher vibration. So I am really trying to create an event that both brings people to focus and does some things communally, but also allows each person the respect to take some time and within their own psychic ability and their own psychic focus and their own mediums and channels or intuition or feeling of love or connection to do what is most important, what they know most what to do or within themselves, and how to bring 1,000 people together to change the world, to change the direction of humanity. And so I'm really excited about it, and I'm going through all these evolutions with many, many people about how to do this. But it's an exciting thing for me. And for everybody, I think for everybody that's involved, we want to see what this is, what this becomes.
Well, I've heard you talk about it a couple of times now, and your excitement and your dedication to doing something of great importance and of value just comes out. And I am excited to be supporting you in the 2012 Transcendence Fair and everything that you're trying to do there. We will have the links to the 2012transcendencefair.com down below and to celebrationfair.com. And so if you'd like to learn more about these events, please follow those links to those websites. Shanti, every interview we ask our guest for one thing that our community can do to make change in their lives. So one thing that they can make a shift right now that they can do. And I tipped you off ahead of time, so I'd like to hear now, what's in your mind? What is one thing that people can do to make a change in their life?
I went through a lot of ideas on that while we've been talking. I think I'll use one that is from Michael Angeles, who is a Mayan shaman, and he was talking about being in the present. And he said, whenever you're feeling out of center, start by just answering 3 questions. Who am I? Where am I? And what am I doing? And I've been doing that for a month or 2, and it keeps changing, and it's a very good way to come into this moment.
So, who am I? Where am I? And what am I doing? Makes sense to me. I'll be putting that in the notes because I think those are very powerful questions to bring us present, because, hey, it's the only place we can actually make that change is now.
Right.
Shanti,
just one thing. A premise of what both you and I are doing, Jeff, is that we are all as powerful as any spiritual beings on this earth. And it's time for us to step forward and recognize it's not for somebody else to do these ceremonies. It's not for other people to change their lives, and to make the difference to some president or this person. It's up to each of us, and that we are powerful, and that's what we're all about, both you and I.
I agree. And it's a mission of Sparks to Fire that I remind people you can change. You can ask simple questions and change and take action to make that difference that you described. Shanti Toll, celebrationfair.com. Thank you so much for being here on Sparks to Fire.
Well, thank you very much. It was fun.
So what do you think? Are you ready to step up? Are you ready to say, yes, I have powers that are beyond imagination. I am going to use them for the good of the people around me and for the good of myself. And it starts right now. Are you ready? Are you ready to make that change, to stand up and be powerful and not cower, not hide, but let your light shine? If you're in Colorado, or on Monday, October 8th, if you're around the world at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, stand up. Be a part of it. The information is in the links below. I want to thank Shanti because his efforts have led to many insights in my life. And I am grateful for him, the Celebration Metaphysical Fairs, and I'm grateful for the efforts that he has made over the past 30-some years in order to make change in this world. Until next time, remember, there's sparks. They can be your fire if you take action and make it real.